and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but is not limited to, Guapito! What's poppin', Tortillas?
Buenos dias.
What you getting into?
Well, we have tortua and tortillas.
Wow.
That's right. Connie came in with a wet burrito today, and
I did.
It looked very good. Unfortunately, I'd already made breakfast.
Wet burrito. What's a wet burrito?
I didn't think it was supposed to be a wet burrito, honestly. It was a California burrito, and it had French fries, ground beef, and yeah, that's about
Sounds like a burger.
That's a California burrito.
Yeah, it was really good.
I made tequila lime shrimp last night.
How do you like that?
It was,
That sounds
it was
delicious.
really good.
How much tequila did you put in it?
Like cupful.
Did you use the Did you use the sexy tequila or just like
I
regular
used
tequila?
not the real sexy one, but the you know that white and blue bottle, and when you hit the top of it, it dings.
That's
the
the sexy
Azul.
one.
That is sexy, but it's not. It wasn't the 1940, 42.
No, use the Azul.
Wait a minute. What's the difference between that and like ceviche?
Ceviche.
It's like shrimp, right?
A ceviche is, I think, it's
Raw.
Like
more,
agua or like aguachiles.
yeah. Ceviche is like it's almost like a dip, like so it has like shrimp and then like
cilantro,
and
onions, garlic,
tomatoes. You can use like tortilla chips
and generally
eat it.
you don't cook that. You actually cook the shrimp and you cook it in lime juice.
Yeah, the shrimp was really good. It was lime juice, tequila, chopped up jalapeno, and then some seasonings, like some just like all-purpose seasoning.
Dinner at Turtle Town sounds pretty good.
And then you throw that into a cast iron skillet, throw it on the grill for about 4 minutes. All it takes.
So basically, what you're trying
and
to
then
say?
put it over rice. It was delicious.
Basically, what you're trying to say? Shit was popping.
It was popping.
Like chicken, there's like chicken and rice, there's steak and rice, and then there's shrimp and rice.
Shrimp and rice is nice.
Shrimp and rice is nice.
It's funny.
Shrimp and rice is nice.
Shrimp and rice this week.
It's not about
also.
the rice though.
It's not about
What's popping, Burke? How you feeling?
I really enjoy the last couple shows where I give the audience a sweat of whether or not I'm even here. Just let you guys tangent on about whatever fucking dad things Lamanna's up to these days.
Cooking is a skill.
Cooking's a dad thing.
Well, yeah, you make it a dad thing.
Yeah, it's true.
The
Yeah.
daddy thing.
I had to fire up the pit last night, and just got in there with the charcoal. And,
How are you guys the
hit.
same age?
Nobody
It's
loves
wild,
it more than
isn't it?
Lamanna. No.
Well, see, I am like what you call an adult, and I do adult things. And Berkey is, a man child.
What you mean to say is you're fucking boring.
I'm not boring.
My God, I can't believe Berkey just called somebody else boring.
He's so boring.
Somebody get me some fucking oxygen.
Boring?
He
What are you
falls
talking
asleep
about?
on the couch at 8:30 at night every
There's
single
nothing
day.
going on. Nothing worthwhile going on past 8 o'clock. What are you talking
You know what they say? You don't go out past 9.
He's not wrong there.
You fucking old
Oh,
man.
man.
Talk to me
Fucking
about
Conrad was in
anything.
bed at
Wait a minute.
11.
Don't fucking start this again.
Click on West Virginia.
West Virginia's west of Pennsylvania.
My God, that's all we want in life is just another fucking 30 minutes of fucking Berkey looking at a map, please.
You want to know what I realize is not only am I particularly bad at geography, but my apologies to the flyover states, I'm really bad with the Midwest. Really, really,
Yeah,
really
like your
bad.
whole
all
life
the
there.
square states.
Yeah. All the farm states. I had no idea Nebraska was so far north.
The craziest part about this
well,
is
it's-
Pennsylvania.
it's north of Kansas.
Doesn't it border Oklahoma?
All right, guys,
Pull that map up again.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to talk to you about something. Pennsylvania is a square state or rectangle, whatever, same thing.
Not all rectangles are squares.
All squares are rectangles. Not all rectangles are squares.
That's right.
Whatever,
Conrad.
same shit. And
It's
it's
not the
also
same
nothing
shit.
but farms.
That's not true
In
at
the
all.
Just in the middle of it.
Just
That's
in the
fine.
middle.
So
Yeah.
that's why we call it the goddamn Midwest, and it's on that side of the
means
kind
like
of
up-
Tell people in Philly that it's the Midwest, buddy.
I mean, they're close to
They
the
say
East.
Water.
Water.
I mean, honestly,
Nobody
quite
in the
honestly,
Midwest
it's not
says
all
water.
Pennsylvania. It isn't all Pennsylvania.
What is
It
Go
just
fly
says
a
it.
kite,
what
Conrad.
is what
It
is
is it.
what is water
Go fly a kite
equivalent?
over the Midwest.
What is water equivalent in Midwest?
What do you mean?
Like, what do they say?
Everyone says water except for
Water.
people from Jersey and Philly.
Got it.
They say water.
What?
Don't ask me why. You heard what I said.
Water?
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
that
from
is a
Jersey
thing.
and Philly say water.
Yeah.
This is like the whole like
I've
syrup
never heard that in my
debate.
life.
What are you from the Midwest?
No, I lived in Jersey for 8 years, and I've never heard that in my life.
Never heard any say.
Oh my God! You've never
heard
been to the
anyone say
Borgata?
water?
Water?
Yeah.
You've literally never
Get a
been to the
bottle of
Borgata.
water.
Bro,
All right,
it's a
maybe
thing.
closer to it, but
Closer
when you
to
did
it.
it, he's like water.
Yeah. They say water.
They say water.
Whatever.
There's
you
an
can,
A
You can
in
put the
there.
Guido
My God, there's an A in
accent on
there.
it if you want.
Yo, sweetheart, give me a bottle of water.
that sounds a bit. That's fine.
That's every person at the Borgata talking to
Yeah.
the waitress.
Yes. Everyone at the Borgata is exactly Mike Dentali.
Sweetheart.
Yo, sweetheart.
Okay. We have a fun show today, as you can tell. It's Twitter, so that means today is Twitter Tuesdays, which means we'll be going over your reactions to the prompt we put out yesterday, which is... What is dinging?
What is that?
That has to be
it's on his
Conrad.
phone. I was like, what
What the fuck is the matter with you, man?
No, I'm trying to get the episode up, bro.
I thought we said all phones have to go in a phone bucket.
They need to. They really need to. So we'll be getting your reactions to the Twitter Tuesday prompt of what's the best thing to give trick-or-treaters, wrong answers only. We'll also be going over a few of notable headlines in the poker sphere. But before we get to all that, our one and only Caitlin Comeskey has put out a new video. This is a love letter to scammers.
You know, I got that cute rampage to pot with like $400K after half a round of golf and a couple of hand jobs. All I'm saying, if it's that easy, a guy should get to keep it, is all I'm saying. I'm Dustin the Closer.
Remember that time I lost $400K to an investment scammer I met on Hustler Casino Live called Dustin the Closer? I didn't have to tell you that, but I chose to, for the good of the community. And as a reward for my service, I'd be much obliged if you quit bringing it up.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was really hard for me. Like, they talked about it on Twitter for a week and Berkey wagged his little finger at me.
Breaking news! What's up, guys? Doug Polk here. Tonight, I've got a scandal for you that will really blow your top off. Sorry for continuing to do this newscastery bit so much. I just love my new jawline.
So I'm sitting in Vegas, there's this smoking hot 40-something blonde, and she starts talking to me. I think to myself, oh brother, here's another working girl trying to drum up business. And I tell her I'm playing poker, and she's like, why don't you come upstairs and fuck my brains out? I'm like, how much? And she's like, no, I'm not a prostitute, I'm a porn star, and I just think you're hot. Thank God Southwest allows last-minute flight changes.
Okay, Ben. So what I'm getting here is that you funded a website to take down a boy you didn't like. I actually encountered something very similar with my youngest, Gianna. Where'd all this start?
Well, you know, from the moment I met him, I actually really didn't like Wesley. I didn't like the way that he played, or you know, his beady little eyes, or his whole personhood in general. But I also very much didn't like the fact that he was Chinese, because that's sort of like my thing. And also, you know, he was just so much more Chinese than I am.
How'd that make you feel, Wesley?
I'm gonna hold each and every scammer accountable. That's what my platform is for. Holding online operators' feet to the fire for all intents and purposes. I mean, it could all burn down tomorrow. I'm a high-stakes action live pro. I mean, Daddy's gonna be fine. But I do this because I care, and because it makes me feel important.
Oh, man.
It's so good.
That was incredible. Her blank check Ben is so fucking good.
Yeah.
Just so good. And the Rob Mercer part
was amazing.
That was definitely the highlight.
It is true. Why do you care so much, man?
I mean, I got a show to fill, bro.
Yeah. Yep.
But honestly, if I don't care, who's gonna care?
Who does?
Yeah, that was nice of you to lend her your jacket and hoodie for the bit.
It was a fucking ACR hoodie, man. I don't own that shit. Sell out. Oh man, good job, Caitlin. That was phenomenal as always.
Caitlin.
Yay, Caitlin.
I do appreciate the wardrobe change.
Caitlin will be in Kansas City this week for Run Good series.
Okay.
So good luck.
Shout out to Run Good series out there in the Midwest.
Those things are fun.
Yeah.
Run Good series.
Midwest has fun.
Maybe we can send you out in the Midwest. We can get you on the beat.
No, actually, I'm not going.
Actually, I'm not going to be doing any of that.
What happened? You alienated all the people out there?
I'm not going there.
He's not welcome anymore.
They don't got any water?
Yeah.
No, not for me.
Not for me.
The only place I'm going in the Midwest is fucking Choctaw.
Choctaw.
I'm not even sure if that's considered the Midwest. I guess it is.
Yeah, I don't really know how the South works, to be quite honest.
It's kind of like Southie.
I think it counts Midwest.
I would definitely call it Midwest.
I mean, Texas. I think Texas is considered South, right?
Texas is definitely the South.
Texas is
Oklahoma is
South.
like a little northwest
It's
or northeast
South
rather.
adjacent.
Northeast. Yeah.
It's right
South
above it.
adjacent.
It's not directly above, right?
It is
directly above.
It's directly above
don't
It's
geography me,
directly
brother.
above
directly
Texas.
above it, like the
Guapo,
smack
get the
middle
map.
of it.
Get the map, Guapo, please.
It's coming.
Get the map.
It's coming. He said.
Get the
Oh, okay.
Right smack
It's
above
right
it.
above Texas.
Couldn't be any more above it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
No, but that's
Do you know
not
what's
West
above
Virginia.
Oklahoma?
Nebraska.
No.
We've been over this.
No,
God,
Kansas, then
Kansas is
Nebraska.
Wow, Nebraska's that far north?
Oh my
God,
Nebraska is
God.
basically Canada.
Yeah, Jesus. Who knew?
Okay.
Everybody but you. That's who knew.
Quite literally, everybody but you.
Like second graders across America.
I can't wait till Caitlin's next video is just me doing geography.
Oh no.
Actually, I can't wait for that either.
You want to know what's crazy is I loved Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
Oh yeah, so good.
I don't believe you played it.
I did. I did. I was not bad. Not bad at all. All right, we gave you guys a Twitter prompt yesterday. What's the best thing to give trick-or-treaters this year? Wrong answers only. And we got a handful of replies that are fantastic. First one, Conrad, you're going to love this. Big shout out to Patrick Muth, a.k.a. at CHS All-Star. He said, great. More Giants tickets. Because they stink. That's why, because they stink.
They stink.
Because the Giants stink, Conrad. They stink.
He's
Nobody wants their
processing.
tickets. They're giving them away for trick-or-treaters because they stink.
I was waiting for the prompt.
I just realized how close his name is to the Steelers tight end.
Oh, Muth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Patrick Fryermuth. Patrick.
Scott Anderson. Landon's going to have a problem with this one. He said raisins. Landon loves raisins.
No, bro.
I love raisins.
No, raisins are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like raisins.
I used to know, but it's true because most people that are trick or treating are younger. You know, they're not going to appreciate the value of the raisin.
Nobody wants fucking
Nobody wants
raisins.
No,
Listen.
bro. But when you get older, you realize that raisins are actually good.
Okay,
Fuck
listen,
not.
listen.
You just eat the
Raisins
raisins out
are
of
fine.
Raisin Bran.
Raisins are fine,
They are
but they are not a fucking Halloween
correct.
treat,
Yeah.
right?
would-
So, like, you know, just like an apple's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially because there's
Right.
razor blades
I
in
knew
it.
that was
Yeah.
coming.
I've
Kids,
seen-
you stay safe out there.
I've seen so many of those like Instagram videos of people like making up content. It's like you have to really check the wrappers. If you don't, there's like a little knife in here.
Who actually came up with the fucking old wives' tale that there are razor blades in apples? There's no fucking way somebody got an apple and just like bit into it without
No,
thinking.
I think it was like some fake story, like way back in the 80s or 70s, and then it like, you know, it went like 70s viral,
Yeah,
essentially,
yeah,
and then it just like everybody, it just caught wind of like,
I will say,
oh my god,
the notion of trick or treating,
Terrifying to
It
me
sounds ridiculously unsafe.
Yeah, I'm realizing this now.
Just let's go collect a bunch of food from strangers.
Yeah.
Let's just knock on random people's houses and like get things from them.
Yeah, I mean,
and like have them be okay with it.
I'll never forget one of the best trick or treat stories of my life was when I was a kid. I went to West Leechburg, and it was the first year that they allowed trick or treating because they used to. It was the uppity neighborhood, so they used to just have the
good stuff.
They had a Halloween like costume contest at the fire hall. So all the kids would go to the fire hall instead of door to door, and you'd all dress up, and you know you'd get a bunch of treats and shit like that, and then you would parade around, and they'd judge you and top 3 would get something special, whatever. But this is the first year they allowed trick-or-treating. I might have been like 9. And we're going door to door, and there was this little apartment complex that I didn't even realize existed right off of the main street as you turn down towards the baseball field. And my stepdad was taking me around at the time. So we go and we knock on this door, and I say trick-or-treat because the light was on. And apparently this woman who I can best guess was in her like mid-20s didn't realize her porch light was on and didn't have anything.
Oh, no.
She also answered the door in lingerie. And I was just like, what is going on here right now? I ended up getting like a handful of quarters and a nipple and sent on my way.
No,
Not bad.
That's probably not bad.
Like, I don't have any candy. Well, these suffice.
Better than raisins.
That's
Wait,
what I'm
what was,
saying.
what was the
Smuggling
address?
raisins, you know what I'm saying?
Guapo asked you for the
I heard
address.
what Guapo said. That woman is 65 now.
Hey, man,
Like he
nipple's a
said,
nipple.
address.
This reminds me of a trick-or-treat story I may or may not have said on the podcast. Probably did, because it's a classic Halloween one where when you're young and people leave bowls of candy, you think like, then they say take one.
Yeah.
Honor system.
Yeah.
I did take one.
God,
I took one basket.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
my only Halloween memories are like so down bad, like getting chased down the street with some guy with a machete because we knocked down his mailbox, or
You're an asshole.
oh, we were the worst.
Am I the asshole?
Yes.
Oh
You're
yes.
the asshole.
Oh, we were the assholes. There was no question about it.
I dressed up as a roller hockey player one year just so I could cover more ground.
Yeah, smart.
So
That's
I was skating all around town.
Sharp.
It was super sharp, man. I
You should
fucking
have bet
crushed
you
it.
should have bet your friends on like just like call it weight and candy.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like-
we went as a roller. We went as the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
We were
Oh, so it
smart.
was-
There was like 5 of us.
Oh, so you guys, man.
And we were gassed by the end. Lo and behold, one of these houses was giving out Huggies. So we were getting refreshed towards the end to give us that last little burst that we needed.
Landon doesn't know what a Huggy is.
The only thing I know
Probably
about
don't know what a Huggy is.
Landon doesn't know.
The only thing he knows the Huggy is what I give him every day.
No, the only thing I know about like Huggies is the brand for like babies,
No.
like
Oh,
diapers.
No. Huggies are a little fruit drink.
It's quarter waters.
Quarter
Quarter waters. That's what they are.
Hey,
Yeah,
sweetheart,
there you
quarter
go.
water.
They're these
Yeah.
little fruit drinks that come in like this little tiny plastic
Plastic
barrel.
barrel, yeah, right.
I don't know why they were called Huggies.
All different
They were
colors and flavors.
Yeah.
Probably all taste
You could
exactly
freeze
the
them and then
same.
cut the barrel in half and you have a little slushy.
I still don't know anybody that didn't call them quarter waters.
How about everybody?
Huggies.
Oh, those, dude.
Yeah, look at
the
those
little
things.
barrels.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
Huggies.
Oh,
So disgusting.
the barrels are.
So good.
Oh, I know.
Oh, they're actually
Literally-
called Little Hug.
Little
Is that-
Hug?
Yeah, little hug.
Did they change the name? Like they had to
They
be
might have
Hug.
had rebranding.
Huggies.
Yeah, they had to be Huggies at one
Rebranding.
point,
In
right?
Pittsburgh, they were Huggies, and they were at every picnic, every Little League game.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
were literally just sugar water.
Imagine having a Whoop band at that age.
Oh man,
Roller
trash.
skating around,
Just fucking trash.
running around these. Like, how many houses do you think you've gotten? Like, you probably remember.
I bet we hit like 100 that
100 houses?
yeah. I
Not
mean,
a-
trick or
it's not
treating
a-
was like
There's
2.5
not 100
hours.
houses in Leechburg.
There might not be
Man.
actually. No, there has to
It's
be.
just kind of giving me a good idea, like to make like an over under of like how many houses you can go to this year. But like, I just really don't want to do it.
You're an old man. What are you talking about? They're not going to give you any candy.
It's not about. I just meant in general. Like if I was younger, like 'cause I used
Also,
to care.
houses here are very spread out.
I used to care so much. Like Halloween was like one of the biggest times of the year for like a little kid.
Yeah.
Matt, do you guys give out candy at your house? Oh no.
No, because of the dogs. I just try to avoid it. And also, we're in a cul-de-sac, so it's like we're not even really in a neighborhood. Nobody trick or treats. We got the first year I lived there. We got candy, and I set the ball outside, and it was still full.
It just ends up with you eating
Yeah,
it.
I get destroyed on Halloween.
Negative
It's the
EV
worst
to go down the
fucking-
cul-de-sac.
Yeah. Well, it is a rich cul-de-sac, but it's not really a neighborhood. And there's now we know there are coyotes lurking all about. I ran up on coyotes 2 days in a row walking the dogs.
And the day before that, I ran into a coyote literally on our street.
Yeah, I wonder if it was the same one that I ran into yesterday because it was right behind the house.
No, I don't think so because I think his like ACL was literally torn. Like
Scout barked once and he just gone.
Oh yeah,
but the night before, I walked up on a pack. That was fucking scary.
Jesus.
I had my headphones on. I wasn't like paying much attention. I was just walking the dogs down this side street. But there's like the way our community is built is there are these little patches of desert, but they're wide open. You could see across them to the next cul-de-sac or whatever, right? They just bookend this side street that I walk the dogs down. So as I'm getting to the end of the street, I cross the main road on Wigwam to start to loop over, and the dogs just stop. And I'm like, what? Like, so it's dusk. So immediately I'm just like, fuck, there's a coyote somewhere. So I look up, and like 50 yards in front of me, I see like one coyote. And then I look to the right, and there's like 3 coyotes. And I look to the left, and there's like 2 more coyotes.
They're eyeing you up. They're,
so
getting their position.
There's literally 6 of them, and they're starting to flank.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, holy shit. Like, my heart started racing bad. So I grabbed the dogs. I had Newt with me, too, so there was 3 of us. Newt's basically one of them. He literally looks like a coyote.
Right.
And I start, like, backpedaling slowly. That's what I did the last time that I walked up on one in the same area. I start backpedaling slowly, thinking that they would just like freeze and, you know, whatever. They start to advance. I'm like, God damn it. So I start picking up rocks, and I'm just hucking as hard as I can. And they're like scattering and then coming back in formation. I'm like, holy fuck, like I gotta get out of here. So I ended up like just like very fast backpedaling to the point where I was like actually dragging Gatsby because he couldn't keep up. It was, I don't know. I need to get like maybe a flare gun or something like that to carry with me. Just something that, like a bang gun of some sort. Yeah.
Just give them huggies.
Yeah, but then the next day I'm walking the dogs at like noon, and I'm walking behind the house on the side street, and this coyote just darts out right in front of us. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is going on here?
You could have a bag full of steaks, right, and just toss them.
Coyotes sleep in underground?
I don't think so.
Where? What do you mean underground?
Like,
in a den? They might have a den.
I thought they bury holes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think dens are underground though.
I mean, I don't know where else they'd be.
I mean,
dens are underground.
You could just
above ground.
Yeah, above ground.
Above ground den.
You just trying to tell me they hang out in the horse fucking farm next to our house?
They part is
A
chill.
den's like it's like a little cave kind of area.
They don't make. They don't make. Like
I don't think they just burrow.
They don't burrow.
No, I don't think they burrow.
Oh.
I mean, if they're underground, it's that they found something.
Yeah, they are.
Look at them.
Oh,
yeah, man, they're just fucking everywhere.
Are they?
They're hungry.
That's kind of crazy.
They just roll around in packs, like looking for loose change. You know?
Yeah,
they're cute.
They're vibing.
Oh my God!
Face off.
I can't believe I have to listen to some of you guys sometimes.
What?
Sometimes coyotes dig burrows or dens in the ground to provide a space for sleeping in the moist sand.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sometimes you're right.
Sometimes, yeah.
I'm
other
on
times,
fire
yeah.
today. You guys are all wrong.
All right, there's a couple actual funny ones.
That's like saying 2% when you fucking river jam is like sometimes you're right.
Yeah, that's fine. Sometimes he's right. You got to give the man his props.
No,
there were a couple funny ones that were replied to this. Stape says, something tells me they prefer candy to wrong answers, but what do I know? I'm a boomer. Dirks says, free memberships to Mattisau's new training site.
Whoa, wait, where are those?
Well, if you trick or treat at Dirks' place.
Oh, I'll be there, Dirks. We need those.
Danny Sprung said, autographed Nick Airball book on heads up poker strategy. And my favorite, I said drugs, to which Landon said, wrong answers only, bro. To which that Akron kid says, you could try giving them 9 big blinds per 100.
It's like,
wow, I didn't see that in the thing you said, the screenshot.
So never let it die.
That's fucking
so never
good.
let it die.
The bit is so good.
No, the bit is good if it's not someone that makes the same joke on every post.
Yeah, but only you can know that.
Right.
But I know it.
Yeah.
But we laugh at all of them now.
The rest of us laugh, though. It's unlucky. Honestly, his timing's good here.
Yeah, that one's good.
You know, there's probably times where he says it and it's just like, nah, bro, that one falls flat.
That's kind of the issue.
Yeah,
Like,
but this one, zinger.
a broken clock's right twice
Zing.
a day.
Hey.
It is indeed, Landon. It is indeed.
Sometimes it's right.
Sometimes it's right. That was fun. Thank you guys for the submissions. We appreciate it.
That was what a conclusion to that one.
Thank you, Akron Joe, for giving me a little chuckle. All right, we have an In the Muck segment today that is user submitted.
You know, let's not preface this chuckle. You were laughing your ass off in the kitchen when you saw this.
I belly laughed. I thought it was a good one. Roll that intro, Guapo. Okay, I'm going to read this user submitted In the Muck spot from Joe Napolitano. No. Napolitano.
All right, so my man Joe.
My man Joe. Joe N.
It's probably from Jersey.
Napolitano.
Yeah,
Napolitano.
Napolitano.
Napolitano. He on the water.
He definitely says woulda.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So
Feels like a water.
this is a question for cash game poker players. In this instance, for Conrad, Guapo, and Lamanna. Maybe a little less Conrad. He's a D-Gen, though. He can answer. Here's the scenario. We sit in a capped buy-in game. Example is a 1-2 game with a 300 max buy-in. But the game has few players that are quite deep in it already, 500 to 1,000 big blinds deep. And we build our stack up to a similar depth. Another good example of this would be like a match the stack game, which is very common in the 1-2, 2-5 streets these days. Now the scenario is that 2 or 3 players at the table have us covered, and they are the better players at the table. They're somewhat active, and because we have a deep stack, they seem to be targeting us. They seem to be targeting our opens with 3 bets and playing back at us a bit more in a targeted manner. The issue being that we have a much larger percent of our bankroll on the table now than we initially sat down with. Should our mindset change, or should our approach to the game change? Should we rack up and leave, or should we battle it out? I would imagine this happens at every stake level where you double up a couple of times and all of a sudden the money in play at the table represents a bigger portion of your bankroll than you should be playing with. I guess to make it applicable to other stakes, it'd be like building up 6K in 2-5 or 12K in 5-10 and being covered by a few good players in those scenarios. I'm curious how you think about this scenario and how you proceed.
So I find it kind of interesting because, like, yeah, you might have a larger percent of your bankroll on the table, and if you do feel uncomfortable, then you probably just shouldn't play. You know, you should get up and leave, but there's other ways to get around it if you have a community sell action to, like, other people that you know or something like that. But, like, if you feel uncomfortable in any situation, you should probably just leave and not think about anything else.
I mean, it sounds like the easy answer is just to have better bankroll management. I mean, that's probably number one.
What do you mean by better bankroll management? He's just up money in a game.
Well, that's the point that I'm making. Like, so for instance, when I'm playing 1-2, I know how much money I have on the table. I know how much is in my bankroll. Like, if I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just saying, like, if I'm up 3 buy-ins and there's 3 other people that cover me at the table, my decisions, they're not affected just because it's not a significant portion of my bankroll. If you have better bankroll management, then you don't have to worry about these.
So you're saying more buy-ins for the stake that you have.
So
that's why you have like 1,000 buy-ins.
The only difference for the only difference the only difference between this and what Guapo is saying is that this is a live scenario, and there's no smaller than 1-2. You know, so like this is the game that he's able to play. This is the game he has access to.
That is true.
So it's just like, you know, it's better bankroll management. It's kind of hard to even have that when you have X amount, and this is like the only game. Like you just don't. Not everybody has online for it to come.
Yeah, and I think live too. Like buy-in, people have less buy-ins per.
Yeah.
Just in live, just in general.
It's just the nature of it, and especially lower stakes, kind of, or at least allocated for poker.
Yeah, I think like it's a multi kind of step thing, right? It's just like, okay, yes, if you get in this situation and now you have too much money on the table and you feel that you're at a disadvantage and you feel uncomfortable, then yes, you should leave. But that's not a solution. That's just like a Band-Aid to the problem, right? I think you need to probably go back, and when you go back to study, is to start looking at deeper stack poker, so you're prepared for when you're in this spot again, because it could be a good spot, right? It could be, there are some better players that have deeper stacks, but it's a good chance you're playing low stakes that they're not studied in deep stack play, right? So now if you're studied a little bit better, now you flip it on them, and now you have the advantage where they don't. So I think it's preparation.
I definitely agree with what you're saying, but I would say in order of importance is obviously first get your bankroll right, and then 2, I would say obviously start studying when you start getting a little bit deeper.
I would question, because I don't think he's really saying that he was like, he said yes, players are better than him, but I think the question is more of like, can I stay in this game with this amount of my bankroll on the table?
I would argue no if your decisions are skewed because of how much money is on the table. Like if it's significant to you, there's no way you're going to be able to play your best.
I think relative money matters a lot, though.
What do you mean by that?
So I think that there's a big difference between having like 30% of your roll on the table and it being $15,000 versus having 30% of your roll on the table and it being $1,500.
That's
What
true,
you're trying
too.
to say is when you can build it back, it's a big difference.
Well, it's not necessarily just that when you can build it back. Yes, replenishing is critical, but it's also one of those things like what Lamanna was speaking to. When you're at entry level, you kind of just have to deal with an additional layer of variance that doesn't that you can mitigate as you climb the ranks.
Like the DMR is just low, right?
Yeah.
Like your diminishing marginal return.
Yeah.
Where like if you have $1,000 and you lose it, you can get $1,000 back.
I was gonna say, do not resuscitate.
That's DNR.
Yes, that's mostly what I'm speaking to. I think the other thing is that with these low quote unquote dollar amounts that are easily replenishable through other sources, there isn't a whole lot to protect because the nature of the game is trying to get out of those small stake pools as fast as possible, and the only way to do that is to take on exorbitant risk. You don't. The idea is that you want to de-risk as you scale. You don't want to come out of the gate de-risked. So I think Guapo's point is valid and applicable as you climb stakes. I think it's less important when you're playing with very small amounts of money that you can just replenish elsewhere.
Yeah, I guess that's the problem. Like that's the issue is to some people, like call it to some, like $1,000 is a lot, and to others $1,000 something you can make in.
Well, to anyone that $1,000 represents a lot to,
you should not be playing 1-2.
You just shouldn't be playing poker, probably.
Yeah.
Because
there's no room to scale.
Right. You just have a fixed mindset
like you
around
dust it,
scarcity.
You dust it takes you a month to make it back.
Yeah, it's just too much money to like. You're just not in a position to risk.
Right.
And
especially live
poker's-
poker, like
yeah.
like to what Conrad says, you can't go down any other
Correct.
stakes, right?
Yeah.
If you're
Would you say
online,
it's-
you want to play, micros, you can.
Matt, would you say it's fair that if you're going to start playing 1-2, that 15 to 20 buy-ins should be like your floor?
It's so hard to say that, man. Like it
just
so
depends
hard
on-
because people also want to have like people want to play, and like if you don't have 15 to 20 buy-ins, like.
And also, what do you consider a buy-in? Because do you
I mean,
consider
if you're
100
playing,
big blinds?
if you're playing
150?
1-2, I mean,
It's going to be a capped game.
If you're playing 1-2, $200.
Yeah, it's whatever the cap is in that game that you're playing in.
Yeah.
It's usually
Yeah.
150 big blinds.
Yeah,
The-
usually, right.
the
Nah,
issue,
1-2 is 100.
No,
it's not.
No, at South Point, it's
One-
300.
it's always
Okay.
300.
it's
Yeah.
$200 to $300.
Yeah, most other places are 200.
Yeah.
I don't think
300 for 1-3.
It depends. It's not that big of a deal. Point being, even though people want to play, it's not playing correctly if you don't even have that.
people
Yeah.
want to play.
Yeah, but
If you don't have the ability to make it back relatively reasonably
Right.
with the risk assessment.
that's the thing. So we talked about this a lot. When I say we, I mean me and other people, not people in this room. But I've had this conversation a lot with like guys who have made it, like Jason and Brewer and others. And a lot of like the discussion is basically like part of what the survivorship bias comes from. I remember we were talking about this in like the 2017 Super High Roller Bowl. It might have been me and Chewy, but we were just talking about how like Fedor was Fedor, not just because he is talented and works hard, but Fedor was Fedor because he was able to take $1,000, put it online, try, fail, put another 1,000 online, try, fail, and rinse and repeat that until finally he was able to run it up at some point, right? So to answer your question, Guapo, like, yeah, in an ideal world, you would like to have enough money where you can sustain the swings and not go broke, which means that you would want to have like 20 to 50 buy-ins at that level, right? But if you're an aspiring poker player who's wanting to pursue live, you have to start.
I would argue that you need to start online.
Online's really fucking tough.
Right.
And
And think
then
about that.
today's-
So let's say you make it up to 25, 50 cent. And in my opinion, if you start beating that game, like you can easily go beat 1-2. Why not start at 5 cent, 10 cent? Like,
Because you might be able to easily beat 1-2 out of the gate. And there's just a lot higher return.
I was gonna say, yeah, you just make so much more money live than online.
There's
like, in
the-
general.
that's not the argument. So the argument that I'm trying to make is that like you got to put in the work. Like if you're going to get better at the game, like why not start at micro stakes? I know it's going to be a waste of time, But you're learning a lot. I know I did.
Yeah, that's very fair and valid. I think like that path is certainly available, but you have to remember that there's a large group of people that are working a 9 to 5 and can't dedicate that level of time. And their introduction to poker is like their basement home game that eventually transitions out of being, 25-cent, 50-cent game or a 50-cent dollar game into going to play the casino. Or they're college kids.
It just depends how you see poker, I guess, in the sense of if you're seeing it from a professional sense with somewhat path to scale versus seeing it as like a recreational hobby. Where if you see poker as something that you want to pursue professionally, I think taking the online route makes a lot more sense. If you don't need money that bad, right? Like call it my example, like I dropped out of college, backed on stake, playing 10 cent, 20 cent. And I started playing 2 cent, 4 cent. Like I have streams of me playing on global poker with 2 cent, 4 cent. And I learned a lot. Like I learned so much in that, call it 8 months to a year span before I moved up to playing 25 cent, 50. Then I got coached by Jeremiah and went from 25 cent, 50 cent to 50 cent dollar to 1-2. But I scaled really fast with all of the mistakes that I made prior at smaller stakes.
Correct.
I would just make the argument that you don't need to play micro stakes and you could just play a trainer.
And you could just play what?
A trainer.
I think nowadays that's definitely true. Like I think you can just play button big blind for call it 2 hours a day and then move on.
I think that's way, way, way more viable than playing for money that doesn't matter. Unless there's some sort of like emotional hurdle that you can get over.
I think there's a lot of that too, because I mean, if you just like play the trainer and then you start playing for real money, like there's still that difference between theory and practice with real money and people not putting in enough, like putting in a pot-sized river bet that's rent.
I also think that there's a element where people need to make money. Like you had a very nice luxury where you could play online for X amount of time and like you could get better and like whatever. But like at the same time, people need to make their monthly nut.
Yeah, there's an in between.
And they're looking, I would agree there. And they're looking for that. And it's kind of like,
I just feel like if you're looking at it through that lens, it's harder.
Don't play poker.
I was going to say that it's harder to play poker as a profession as it is versus serious, like call it serious hobby, get better slowly over time, but not to fully transition and say, okay, like I'm going to drop everything and make my money playing poker.
I would say,
I think what's being ignored is the person who has already done all of that stuff.
What stuff?
Played smaller, put in work, studied, gotten somewhat competent at the game. And then delved into the 1-2 streets and went broke.
You're saying that happens?
That happens all the time.
Every day.
Yeah. So it's like that person's path forward isn't starting back from scratch at 2 cent, 4 cent.
No.
It can't be because he's already gotten himself into a position where he's reliant on income.
But now it seems like at that lens, he shouldn't be playing 1-2 live if he doesn't, if that bankroll means so much to him. Like, it'd just be better for him to find someone that potentially through a networking sense and just get backed for playing live.
You have a very privileged
so
lens.
privileged.
Sure, but then don't play 1-2 with $1,000 if you're going to play 2 cent, 4 cent.
Yeah, but then just like don't play poker.
I agree with that.
That's like, this doesn't happen.
You can't have bills and play 2 cent, 4 cent, bro.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Then don't play poker.
Correct.
But he wants to.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Great.
He wants to
I want to have hookers and blow for the rest of my life, but some things you just can't have. Like you just have to start from scratch, man. Like I would say, like the example that you use, Matt, when you go when you're putting in the work at the micro stakes and then you eventually go play 1-2, and let's say you go broke playing 1-2. I would argue that that's probably not the norm. I would say that if you're beating 1 cent, 2 cent, and get up to 25, 50 cent, if you get up to 1-2, there really isn't a reason for you to not be beating that game if you're taking
variance.
You can lose. Absolutely be beating a game in theory and lose.
I would disagree that if they take a proper bankroll from playing micro stakes to playing 1-2 live, that it would not be normal for that person to lose.
Oh, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me cut you off. So basically, let's just say a bankroll from 10 cent, 20 cent online, right? How long would it take to make 15 to 20?
Well, I guess let's start here. How much do you think you need to play 10 cent, 20 cent online? Like, what would be a good bankroll for you?
I do 100. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. Like, how much? Like, I'm just asking Connor, like, how much money you would play to stick to bankroll constraints at 10 cent, 20 cent?
$500.
Yeah, I would say you need more. You need much more than
10
that.
cents, 20 cents, 25 buy-ins. All right, so maybe 4 times that.
I would say 2K. I always played 100 buy-ins.
Right. So now if you play 2K and then you move up to 20, like now you play 25 cent, 50 cent.
So
Now,
think about that. If you're playing 25, 50 cent, you now have $5,000, which still isn't a bankroll for 1-2, but it's getting close.
Well, if you're saying, so if we need 15 to 20 buy-ins for a live 1-2 game, right?
Well, we would like more than
Even
that.
if we conservatively went in with 10K, it's certainly nowhere near difficult to go broke off of that.
It's not, well, it is in the sense of if you're not willing to quit if you lose half of it.
No, what you're not understanding is that throughout this whole process, people like the bankroll and bill money is not separated here.
No, it's life. It's all in one.
Okay,
so
so
there's
then
the variance of the game, and then there's the expense of living, and you're trying to get over the hurdle. You can't stay in these small stakes and still carry carry the weight of both of these things at the same time.
So what are you doing prior to playing poker?
My God, this is my life.
Who cares? Like
this is literally like we're just talking about my life right
maybe
now.
you graduated from college and you took a shot. Maybe you quit a job at McDonald's to pursue this, and you've had some success online. The whole point is that most people aren't going to have the time horizon necessary to operate under proper bankroll constraints from day one.
Right. Yeah.
There
Very
has to be
difficult.
a period where you're just taking on exorbitant risk.
And then the time to do that is at the low stakes.
Of course.
Right. And
So
I
it's
think that's so if we're trying to like get to Joe's issue here, at the 1-2 level, you're saying like if he's in this game that it's okay to stay in the game, take a shot.
Well, no, I agree with your original advice.
It's to
I think in the short term you leave.
and then get better.
In
and
the
then,
long term, you have to figure out a strategy to play depth.
right, because you're going to be in that situation again and again, and you don't want to lose out on a very positive EV spot.
Correct.
When it presents itself.
Right, and
because
there's a
you're
lot
not
of other
prepared.
ways to mitigate this too, right? You can you can have a group of friends that are willing to. So basically, like everybody who is in this realm of attempting to pursue this seriously, and they're playing stakes, call it small stakes online to 1-2, 2-5 live. Every one of them should be in order to get anywhere. You should be cultivating a small trusted network, and that small trusted network will be leaned on to study with. It'll be leaned on for emotional support. It'll be leaned on for motivation, like you'll push each other. And then most importantly, it'll be leaned on for financial support amongst each other as well. And not in the sense of when you go broke, you'll look to them to borrow or to get backed or things like that, but more so in the sense that you guys can mitigate each other's risk along the way. Somebody's always going to be having more success than someone else in the group at any given time. And what that allows for is you can basically have one working bankroll amongst the group. I don't know how much truth there is to this, but there were like rumors that Ike, Seaver, and a handful of others basically pulled their money as they were making their way through in the come up in order to play high stakes. And basically like the quote unquote business would have X percent of anyone's action at any given time, and then each of them would own a certain share of the business. Right? And that's a really smart way to go about it, but you don't have to be so structured. You don't have to be so formal. If you just have this group where you kind of like financially rely on each other and this spot presents itself and you think you're winning in the spot, or they think you're winning in the spot, you can alleviate or de-risk a fair amount here, right? You could say like, hey guys, I sat down with one buy-in. I now have 5 buy-ins in front of me, but Joe Smith is to my left. He's playing pretty aggro. And even though I think this is a really good spot, I can't risk this much because now all of a sudden, instead of me having 5% of my roll on the table, I have 25, right? So if they think it's a good spot also, they'll say, I'll take 10, I'll take 15, I'll take 10, whatever. And you can de-risk down to where now you have less of your bankroll on the table. If they collectively don't think it's a good spot and you don't have the option to sell to them, you can just leave.
Yeah.
Right? And that needs to be the way that these stakes are mitigated. There has to be a lot of very aggressive calculated risk taken in order to get to a stake level where you can sustain. You have to get to that 50K mark in order to sustain if you're living off of your bankroll. Otherwise, you're dead. Because everything less than that, your life roll is eating into your bankroll anytime that you're taking on variance, right? So every time you stay in this game with 800 big blinds in front of you and you go broke, which will happen, it's the most catastrophic life event that you could ever feel like is going to happen, and your emotional like it's gonna be so emotionally taxing, it's gonna be financially taxing. You're gonna play the what if game forever, where it's like, why didn't I just leave? And this encompasses another big question, which is always asked by people at the entry levels of how do you know when to leave? Well, eventually when you're rolled and you're not really risking much other than time, you know when to leave whenever you don't feel like making your hourly anymore, right? Or you feel like your hourly's been compromised by the game diminishing in some capacity. That's when you leave. But when you're on the come up, the answer to when do you leave is truly only when do I have too much at risk, right? So if you're stuck 5 buy-ins, you might have too much at risk to continue to play in the game. If you're up 5 buy-ins, you might have too much to risk to continue to play in the game. That's the number one factor of when should you leave the game, not is the game still good, which is the advice that we tend to give. And it's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, that's when you have infinite roll.
Yeah, you're playing 1-2. The game's always good. You know, it might just be particularly good because there's a drunk guy in the game. But if you can't de-leverage and de-risk in that spot, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the same thing that happens at 5-10, 10-20. Like, is the game good? Like, the game's always going to be fine, and sometimes there's exceptions, right?
Yeah.
But at that point, you're past the mark of sustainability.
Right.
Theoretically.
Right, you're not
you
cutting
don't have
into
50K playing 10-20.
Right, and
anymore.
if you do, then you're Conrad or you're me, and you're a psychopath, and you're gonna deal with the fucking crash and burns that come from that.
Absolutely not.
Go on.
You are not going to call me a psychopath right now.
Go on.
Okay, I'm a psychopath.
He's gonna take control of that himself.
Defend yourself.
Okay, you win.
Right. But the thing is that when I was aggressively taking risks at 5-10 and 10-20, it was replenishable for me. Right? Like, I had the ability to get an hourly coaching. I had a very well-networked group that believed in me and was willing to take small shots.
Okay, so let's say you didn't have that.
Right. If you don't have that, then you have to be incredibly conservative, but you're dead in the water.
It's so
like,
hard.
you have to build it at some point, because without that level of support, everybody needs support. We all want to pretend like we were lone individuals that just made it on our own good merit and hard work.
I guess,
right?
but more so back then. Like, more people nowadays are way less like that.
Of course, but even back then, it was bullshit. The only people that survived were people that had a support group.
Like, people that have friends.
Not just friends, but like even if it's the whale in the game who's taken a liking to you and is willing to financially invest, like, you just need somebody who can help pick you up whenever you fall, because falling is inevitable.
And it's not even pick you up when you fall. It's just help you get to the next step. Like, even if you're not falling, like, just put you up to the next step.
Correct.
Like Bob
because
Wright in your situation.
Right. Without the insurance of somebody who is willing to help if things go poor, you can never be aggressive enough to move up. You would be in Guapo's situation where basically you're trying to have 100 buy-ins every time you take steps.
It's just a slow increase.
But it's almost impossible if you're living off of your roll.
That slow increase is going to take years.
Right. Like, Guapo has multiple streams of income, right? Poker isn't his sole stream of income. So he can gradually build, and he's in no rush to get to the finish, because it's not the ultimate end-all be-all to paying bills. But for most people who start playing in their 20s that are trying to take a shot at this, trying to prove to their parents that they can make it, trying to demonstrate that they have what it takes to be a professional poker player, the time horizon that they can actually invest into this is relatively short before they actually have to be able to self-sustain. For your situation, Landon, how long did you have when you dropped out of college?
6 months.
You had 6 months, and you had a support group? You had a backer?
I had my backer was my support group, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you had a coach, whatever, and like that helped you get through it.
That was predicated on me leaving. Like, I left college with knowing I had a coach in a backing situation.
Right. Understand.
Yeah. It's not like I was like, I fucking dropped everything and said, I'm going to focus on poker on my own, figure it out on my own, and then be responsible and leave.
That's how most people would start.
Yeah.
Right, and that's a little bit irresponsible.
I mean, not everybody's lucky enough to have the support system, or like.
I don't think it's irresponsible. I mean, anything that you want to pursue with vigor is going to come with some level of risk.
Sure, but you're like, it's better to, in the sense, to have some sort of like my plan, whether it was a loose plan, but it existed of I have backing, I have a situation, I have a way to get better without needing to look for it once I made the decision of I'm gone.
No, of course it's better to have that.
Yeah.
That's not it's not really a question. But if you just graduated college and you've been playing poker for a couple years and you've demonstrated that you have a win rate under the security blanket of being in school and having no bills, and you decide like, okay, I'm not going to pursue work, I'm going to pursue this, but you don't have the role to pursue this, you're at a crossroads. You have to take some calculated risks. Otherwise, you're just the guy sitting on the couch with the life that you didn't want, and you're always going to second guess having not taken the shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of how do you now get into, like, how do you create your network, right? How do you go from 0 to 1?
It's just like everything else, corporate world.
I don't mean
dating,
that. I didn't
whatever.
mean that in like a question. I meant that like that's the idea, right? You go from 0 to 1, and like the way you do that, and sometimes if you have call it $2,000 playing 1-2, is you go to the live, like you go to a casino, you play 1-2, and maybe you meet someone your age, a friend group, peer group, right? And like you kind of have to network. Like you just have to play the network game in some regards because you are 0.
Ways to do it. Timestamp bro, like hit us up and ask the intern.
Like that's what what I did in college when I found online was I was being timestamp bro for Joey.
Right.
And I was like, okay, like Joey didn't offer me a job.
The community,
I just gave myself
the community is much more wide open and accepting now than it was when like Brian and I were coming up. We didn't have access to Negrano.
You didn't have the internet.
Yes, we did. You fucking clown.
We're not that fucking old.
Not in the same way.
Negrano, hit my beeper.
Goddamn Zoomer.
Not in the same way.
It's not that. There was just there was a wide
beeper.
There was a wide gap between.
He didn't have the internet.
There was a wide gap between the old guard who spent their time grinding it out in smoky pool halls and casinos, playing limit games and everything else, and the new age online kid who was just able to like kind of fire at will. There was, they had already made it. They were established. They were the survivors. So like they didn't want to lend that level of. They didn't want to close the gap, basically.
Well, you also didn't have mentors. You had peers, right? Now there's mentors. Like now, mentors are different. Mentors were different then, right? Mentors are more like gamble sense, like maybe some money here. It
wasn't even that. We definitely didn't have mentors. We had people that we looked up to, and I don't think that your generation or the generation to follow really necessarily looks up to people in the community so much as aspires to be at that level, right? Like I don't think necessarily people look up to the figures that are in the community now, but I think that they say someday I'm going to get to that level.
I want to be as good as,
right? Where for us it was literally like I want to be Doyle, I want to be Daniel, I want to, you know what I mean? Like we looked at them the same way we looked at athletes back then, where I don't think that same, I think it's because of technology and the internet. Like I don't think people worship sports stars the way that they used to. I don't think that they try to transpose their life into the athletes.
Have
or the
you
actors.
not seen fucking Brian LaManna and Taylor Swift?
Well,
what do you mean?
He's a boomer.
That's true.
He's just living his boomer life.
You got a point.
But yeah, like I mean, it's more so now possible to make poker work than prior. Because if you had $0 prior and no friends, like no money, like no like and bills to pay, how are you gonna get out?
Pretty tough, yeah.
But now with internet, with community, like it's possible.
I don't know. I wouldn't
it's still
want to
tough.
do it.
I wouldn't want to do it either. But
starting from 0 now seems way scarier than it did in 2005.
Starting from 0, I mean, honestly, if I were to start from 0 right now, I would find someone that I respect from a coaching standpoint and try to, and like basically try to sell myself to them and be like, I'm going to play X amount of hours a day. I'm going to put as much study, much effort as I need to put in. And like, I'm going to be really fucking good at this game.
I would definitely agree with you that it's a lot easier now. Just because of the simple sense that you can just go on Twitter and find a community. Like you can literally just go on Twitter and just find like a hand history group somewhere or something along those lines and just build from there.
Yeah, I just don't understand how you guys live. Like, I just don't know how you live without any money.
I didn't. I lived inside. I was sad.
Yeah, but you were 19. Like,
yeah, I was 19 and sad. I wasn't 28 and sad.
But like now you're 24. Like, and for Conrad, you're much older. I don't know how you could start at 0 and just get a coach and a small backing deal.
If you started with straight 0, you'd have to have a job and then just like not sleep very much and just grind a ton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to just get a job to get an hourly to pay your bills, and then spend every waking hour focusing on the thing you actually want to
Probably
focus
the
on.
best way to do it is
And then at
is to
some
have
point-
another
I
few sources
actually,
of income.
if I would do the opposite. I would create content because it can give you a steady stream of income, albeit
that's-
not much.
1-2 blitz pool.
Yeah, I mean it's a form of a job.
Fine.
Like
It's,
streaming on Twitch,
it's
you
different
I
because
guess I don't mean job. I
it's
mean
less time
I just mean
intensive.
I mean yeah, a different stream.
A
of
passive
revenue.
income.
Yeah,
Right.
but there's a big difference
Or
between putting in
not
40
passive.
hours for a wage versus like being a content creator, like being a vlogger, whatever.
Oh
where
yeah, right.
Maybe you're putting in a third of those hours.
Right, and it's
And
that's
you're
gonna
still
help
doing-
with, and that's
right.
gonna help with networking and all that
Correct.
kind of stuff as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, piggybacks off of each other. Right.
yeah, like it's very possible that you can call it start your journey from scratch and stream every time you ever play small stakes poker, right? But like you have your job, call it you have your 9-to-5 job, and then you stream, right? You learn, you study, you stream, and you hope to like call it build following, start the YouTube channel, like have some sort of big, like have some form of structure, but then actually follow it for a long time because it's not easy. And for like call it, even in my sense, like way back when, like it took me 2 years to get good at poker.
Yeah.
It took me 2 years playing 12 hours a day, not leaving my house. I didn't have friends. I had like call it coach friend, but I didn't leave my house and say, oh, like, I'm going to go hang out with the boys tonight. Like there were no boys.
But imagine being 27 and trying that, because that's when most people find poker. Like, you know, not in there. You're not going to find it at like 21 and like under.
I wouldn't quit my
two-
job.
I mean, I probably agree with you.
I wouldn't quit my job, and I would just try to find a way to get in the community. But like at the same time, like some people are going to be like more open, less open to the whole like backing, studying, coaching, training, you know? But it's hard to take on that risk of someone that like starts from zero, because for poker, it's hard to have a resume.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It just, when you have zero, you have zero. But like the way that call it, I work with Steven and the way that I work with Jeremiah, like Jeremiah gave me like very quick couple questions as like where my head was at with poker. And I said, I'm pretty sharp. I have nothing else on my plate. I have no actions, obligations, or other things. And I really want to get good at poker. And he was like, okay, great, you're in. And
Yeah.
from there, like I've just played X amount of hours a week. And then with Detox, I moved to Detox. I played 200 hours a month.
Yeah, but your path is so unique.
Is
I mean,
it?
yes,
It
you
is.
keep
It is.
doubling back on this, like as if it's just the way or the most common.
Well, that's how I would do it.
Right, but like that, you have to kind of recognize that you're like one of one. Like it worked for you the first time around. It might not work the second time around. Maybe you're not as likable. Maybe you don't find Steven. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of variance and a lot of survivorship bias in your path, the same as there is for the rest of ours. And the big takeaway here that I think, we got into something much, much deeper.
I was gonna say, and that's what you do when you run up a stack at 1-2.
But, but yeah, the bigger takeaway here is that there is a lot of fucking volatility in pursuing this, and the majority of people aren't going to make it.
Okay.
It's just that simple.
Correct. So now where do you go?
Well, now you just, whether you take your path or you take a higher risk path like we're suggesting or something in between, basically there are a million different ways to attempt it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that my way is the correct way or the fastest.
Right. I'm just saying that, effectively there's a high failure rate attached to all of them.
Yeah,
and
that's
that
for
needs to
sure.
be understood before anybody pursues this.
Right. Nobody's saying that you can just wake up and become a poker genius.
Well, funny you say that, Landon, because I would argue that Johnathan Little is actually saying exactly that. Somebody
I used
sent
to
me
sit
a
at
clip
Bellagio and
here
play 5 to no
of
limit
how
most
he would
days.
approach it if he
Whereas I could be
started,
playing tournaments, I could have been
from
playing
scratch, and
higher stakes
apparently
cash
there's
games, but I
just
sat
free
there and
money in
played
the
5 to no
streets.
limit. Why? Because I could consistently grind out about $120 per hour, and I could easily put in 12 hours a day with pretty much no breaks. So let's presume I played 10 hours a day on average, making $120. That's $1,200 a day, $36,000 a month. I would go there and I would play literally all day, every day. $36,000 a month. Playing, as some of you say, boring cash games. It was always nice for me because I didn't really care if I was bored, if I was making tons of money. Turns out making tons of money is not boring to me. That's fun and exciting, especially if it's pretty much free. And back then, or at least with my skill set back then against those players, it was pretty much free. And I realize the games are tougher today. Maybe now you can only do that at 2.5 no limit. You can make $50 an hour or $60 an hour, whatever. Only $18,000. Grinding like you actually care seems like a pretty good win rate. So you can easily make $200,000 a year playing 2-5 no limit.
So somebody sent me that, and I mean, it's hard not to meme. Like, I think Johnathan's point of needing to put volume in is well intended, and I think that, you know, ultimately he's not trying to be misleading, but like, bro, there's a big undercurrent to that message of, you know, you don't want to hear it, but like, just go play 3,000 hours of 2-5 a year and you're going to make $200,000. Like, no, you're fucking not. No, you absolutely fucking are not. You're going to go broke 10 times in the process trying to do it. Like, this notion that, like, if you have studied a course on pokercoaching.com, you're suddenly making $60 an hour at 2-5, and you can go with, you know, some level of proper bankroll and just make infinite fucking money. Like, that is not how it works.
You're the best player in the field. You have you're very well rolled, and you have some sort of ability to not get fatigued when you play 10 hours a day every single day.
No.
That might be one person, maybe 0 people that can do that.
You also need a time machine, because when this happened and you were able to make this type of money at fucking 2-5 and 5-10,
yeah,
when he was playing it,
yeah, back in 2005 and
yes,
6,
maybe, but people are a lot fucking better now.
And he did qualify and said, like, you know, his skills in the game back then yielded that sort of hourly, and then he just put. But like, okay, let's not move the goalpost here, and, you know, keep the frame of reference. Like, what would those same skills yield in today's game? It's certainly not 12 big blinds an hour.
Half.
Maybe
it's probably way less than that.
I think the average. Here's the thing. I think most winners in 2-5 think that they're making $50 an hour because that's what their spreadsheet says. But they're playing like 800 to 1,200 hours a year, and the sample is actually like pretty insignificant. If they were to extrapolate that out to a real sample where they played 100,000 hands a year, which, let's say that's like 2,500 hours, that might be lowballing it.
Even
that's about right. That's 25 hands an hour, or sorry, 40 hands an hour.
That's fast. That's very fast. It's like on average, it's like 30
15.
an hour if you're lucky.
If you find somewhere that spits out 40 fucking hands an hour,
so 3,000 hours.
Okay, fine, 3,000 hours then at 30 hands an hour,
which is a lot of time.
It's an impossible amount of time to actually put in. But let's say that somebody actually does that and puts in 100,000 hands. I think there might be like, maybe people that you can count on one hand that are making $60 or $70 an hour, even $50 an hour. Like, I think the average win rate at 2-5 is probably about half of what the winners actually see on their hourly.
It's very funny and kind of true where you talk to live players and they talk about their downswings, and like, as an online guy, it's just like, first time.
Right.
And like, your downswing is nothing.
Well, the thing is because if you mitigate your volume, you can go years without having a losing month. You could just do it because you're only putting in 100 hours a month at most.
You win $2,000 and you play for, call it, one night. You're like, oh, I guess I won this month.
Like, you cherry pick your games, you put in like, you know, 50 to 100 hours a month, and you just rack up winning month after winning month after winning month. But the wins are relatively pedestrian. You know, you do okay. You make $50K a year playing 2-5.
That actually might be a better plan than trying to fire 3,000 hours in bad games, and you know what I mean?
Of course, like, the game selection is important.
It depends on what your situation is, but like,
it also depends on your goals.
But like, if you're game selecting, you can't just you can't pump volume.
Right.
If you're game selecting, you're playing at nights, you're playing on weekends.
Yep.
Right. And now you're not playing at, call it, 2 p.m. because you're just trying to get in your hours.
Right. And the other thing is, like, if you are capable of putting in 3,000 hours and you actually are winning anywhere near that clip, you'll just move up.
Yeah. You'll just have enough money to
have to move up because, I mean, I guess he's discouraging that, like, basically saying, like, if you have that sort of win rate, just crank out the volume.
It kind of sounded like that was the underlying message was you don't need to move up. You can make it.
Making money is fun and entertaining.
You can make a ton of money at these stakes. And
the irony is, I think the exact opposite happens. I think the people who stay at the same stake level forever are the ones that are putting in high quality hours but low volume hours, and they keep their win rate elevated, but maybe falsely elevated. Right? They guarantee themselves $50K a year playing 2-5. With a lot of variance in between. but they never really are able to graduate because they can't really get above that sort of win rate without playing a whole fuck ton more, right? And then the real grinders that are out there, which I think like, you know, the toughest grinders in the world who are really slaving away are maybe putting in like 2K hours a year live. And they're just like giganits because they have to play a lot of really fucking bad games.
Yeah.
And they make games bad because they're there 24/7, 365.
It's on autopilot.
Right. So maybe they make, you know, 1.5 or 2 times what the other guy is making, but it's really difficult to
3 times the volume.
Right. You have to put in like 3 times the volume. And now whenever you move up, you just become that same nitty leather ass that you know, nobody really wants in the game. Eventually, like, you get expelled by the environment, right? Like, eventually, you only get to play games where it's a bunch of you.
It's very, very funny how people think poker is a very easy game to win.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to win at 2-5 and win that much money at 2-5?
Right.
And then play and then stay there and then keep doing that. It's like, yeah, you can, some people can do it, but like saying you can copy paste and have, like, call it thousands of people do it, at some point people are going to start losing.
The reason why I played that clip outside of me thinking it's hilarious is is actually because I think the biggest variable that isn't spoken about there is the actual aspect of what it would take to do that level of volume, right? It's completely ignoring your life roll scenario, your expenses, the variance that comes with, like, he's basically saying, like, if you show up and you have a win rate and you play that often, you just have free money.
Yeah.
Because the variance and the swings occur throughout that 12 hours the way that they would occur throughout a week if you were putting in less volume. And it's like, that's partially true, but the variance is still fucking there.
One good thing is your living expenses would be low because you'd be in the casino nonstop.
Kind of.
Getting free meals. But like, yeah, but I mean, your relationships would suffer. If you had friends, girlfriend, wife,
Well,
like
study
kids,
also. When are you studying?
When are you studying? Right. I
Right,
mean, there's a
like-
lot of
the build
you're
up,
literally in the casino every day for hours.
the build up to get to that floor takes so much time and energy that it doesn't look into the win rate at all.
That's the whole point that I'm trying to focus in on. It's
Maybe
like
$5 an hour.
Right. The build up to get to that floor would require you having just infinite money somehow. Right? Because you're just going to go broke in the process of trying to play 3,000 hours at those stakes. There's nowhere to go down. If you're at 1-2 and your goal is to play 3,000 hours, grinding out, call it 10 big blinds per hour, right? So you're making $20 an hour. And that's your goal, and you're going to put in 3,000 hours, and that's going to be what affords you to move up in stakes. You're going to fucking go broke. Like a non-0% of the time. It's not a guarantee that you just get through the 3,000 hours, even if you come with like a 15K roll. Like, because there's nowhere to go down. You can't step down. If you go on a 10K downswing off a 15K roll, you can't suddenly go play 50 cents a dollar at Mandalay Bay.
Right.
You know, it's not, the game doesn't exist. So you have to
The limit does not exist.
Yeah, it's like you can either put in a ton of volume or you can accept risk. And when you're playing live, you just generally sign up for the risk. Mm-hmm. And I think like that's the big underlying message that this In the Muck segment kind of brought about.
It's funny in the sense of, as training site, whole being rational doomer of, if you start trying something, you're most likely going to fail, but that is the most logical outcome.
Yeah, of course.
But like for some reason, like we don't want to talk about it because it's not good. It's like, it's not good for the coaching industry.
Right.
The coaching industry profits off of, oh, you can do it. Of course you can do it. Like, it's very easy. Like, I show you how. Like, here's money. But in reality, it's like, nah, man, like, you're just going to get wrecked a lot. But like, if you're trying to, like, here's some tools if you want to take that path. But like, it is a very dark, a dark path, man.
Hey, Berk,
Yep.
I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah.
But how's that 10-minute timer looking?
No. The 10-minute timer was for the intro.
Oh, okay.
We did good. We did good with that.
Let's make it sure.
Well, for in the Muck segment, we know like 15 minutes. But we did pivot. We pivoted.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah, the 10-minute timer is only for whenever we use like Wizard and stuff like that. This was the show. I know we branded the Am I the Asshole, but I'm the asshole for deviating off of script here.
You're the asshole for saying that poker's hard and you're probably not going to win.
I am definitely the asshole for that.
I definitely enjoyed this conversation, though.
Yeah.
I hope we
How
have
dare
more.
you use rational thought?
Whatever. Sometimes fight me.
Final thought for Joe.
Quit the game if you're feeling this way until you get better.
If you feel discomfort, get up.
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable, leave.
I think it's just really important if you play live poker to get very good at either understanding theory for deep stacks or understanding how to freestyle well. And that's not intuitive. So do something proactive to get better at that type of stuff. You don't have to challenge yourself with real dollars. There's enough trainers out there that you can just do it for free at home.
It's true.
Yeah, you can learn a lot by just playing against Sweet GTO Wizard.
Oh, sweet GTO Wizard. If you find yourself in the muck and you'd like to submit a hand or a spot or a scenario for us to examine in a future segment, head over to our Discord. It's #Discord in the chat, or you can find it as the pinned comment on our Twitter page at onlyfriends_pod. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Let's wrap.
And we'll tell you how poker's hard.
Yeah, we'll tell you how poker's hard. Let's wrap on a couple light things that were happening around the poker community. Apologies, Nikki, we're not going to get to the am I the asshole.
Can I throw one in here?
Yeah, please.
All right. Well, I'm going to give a big shout out to my boy David Jackson. Just shipped the 1600 at the Wynn for 185 racks.
Good job, David.
Let's fucking go, David.
Let's go.
Man's a beast.
Oh, man's a fucking
Beat
animal.
Helmuth heads up for a bracelet.
He
Comes
dunked
out.
on Helmuth.
He did kind of dunk on Helmuth. Helmuth literally folded top pair, second best kicker, and
Thought he was
just
a
like,
genius.
Listen, guys. Helmuth was not all there. He had a fucking rail heckling the life out of him that day.
Well, he did make mouth love to an Arby's roast beef sandwich on that stream. So
What was that bite?
it's tough. It's pretty tough at that point to recover. Honestly, the fact that he got second
Man,
is.
I feel like some of these clips in this community should be mainstream.
They
like
really
the roast
should.
beef bite. Is
I think it was for a time.
Yeah.
It is.
I think
It's
it caught
poker
on.
viral, but it's not.
Yeah.
The words that were said after that roast beef bite on the rail needs to be
Needs to be banned. Removed from public
God, it was
consumption.
So good.
All
It
right,
was also
we
good.
had a couple fun hands happening at the Poker Ghost studio with the PLO. No shock, as PLO tends to find a way to get the best hands in the deck dealt out. Dylan Weisman made a final table of, I believe it was a 5K, but I'm not positive. He found himself in quite the not so fun spot. Flopping middle set on Queen Jack Deuce 2 spades against the old royal flush draw that just so happened to come through. Very unlucky for Dylan. He took a very I don't know shit about PLO, so I'm in no position to be critical here. But he took a bet fold line, leaving himself with one big blind afterwards. Once the ace of spades completed the royal flush on the turn. In a pot limit game, at a final table with ICM being important, I would think the turn is a check back, but I'll defer to the experts out there. And I only say that because the only way he can get his stack in the middle is by betting the turn. If he just checks back, the worst case scenario is he faces pot on the end, and he still has 10 big blinds remaining.
A little more than that, like 15.
Turn was the ace of spade, right?
Yeah, the old ace of spades just rolls right off.
Yeah, I mean,
it was meant to be.
You just don't feel great. I mean, if you have a king of spades in your hand, you might feel a lot better about betting turn.
Yeah,
I don't feel fucking great when I don't have a spade in my hand.
Well, that's the thing. If you get check jammed on the turn, you have to just kind of want to die.
No,
right?
no, not kinda.
I mean,
you want to die.
I don't know shit about PLO. Do we fold sets?
Oh my god! I mean,
Don't ask me.
That's for a future in the muck segment, Guapo.
Don't worry, we got that one on the back burner.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I guess if we fold sets, then I could understand betting the turn for. Well, I don't. It's not for protection. We don't have to protect against a 4 flush. It's Omaha.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. I don't know.
I don't know. When
I'm brain scrambled here.
When I saw this hand, I was like, I would check this turn.
I just know the only reason Hubert wasn't all in on the turn is because he had the exact royal.
Yeah.
all of his other flushes are probably just happy jamming.
I kind of wish he didn't have the 10 of spades in his hand. He just had
King 6.
Yeah.
I mean, he might trap that sometimes too.
Yeah.
You don't want to give I don't know. Do we bet fold flushes in Omaha? I literally don't know shit about Omaha. Strength of hands just seems so much higher.
It just feels icky.
It does feel
It doesn't
icky.
feel great. Like, you're just like, fuck, what am I going to do now? If you face any resistance, like, you're just dead most of the time.
Speaking of icky, shout out to Adam Hendrix, who won the 15K progressive bounty.
Let's go, Hendrix.
He did it in glorious fashion. He flops trip 5s with the ace 8-5-4 heads up, and he's up against the 9-9-7-3, which then turns 9s full. No big deal here.
No big deal.
How?
Hendrix with $5 million in lifetime earnings
versus 9's full. Conrad, I'll tell you how.
You just got to find it.
You got to find that one outer sometimes.
You just got to find it, man.
Well, but you can probably skip ahead.
This is worth a lot more than first, because this was actually a progressive bounty.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that. I would actually be very interested in knowing how they tally the progressive bounties.
So they've been running them for a while. They've been doing about the Wynn and stuff for at least a year now, I want to say.
Okay.
And I honestly,
assume the bounties are just even numbers?
Yes, I believe so.
And the way it works is when you bust someone, you get half of their bounty?
Well, half of it is, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
and then
yes,
you get,
yes.
And then you get to keep the other half.
Exactly.
Or the other half becomes part of your bounty.
Part of your bounty.
Yeah, correct.
So you would get 2 chips. You get a red and a green chip, I believe, from somebody.
So if you get busted, you don't earn any bounties yourself? No, you do. You get to keep half, right?
Yeah.
Not of yourself. If you say he bust second?
Well, not just him second, but like let's say I bust somewhere in the money like 12th.
Okay.
And my bounties are worth 10K. Do I get to keep 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then 5 goes to the person who busted me.
Yes, that's correct.
Correct? Okay. Yeah. It's interesting.
I said it wrong.
All those little red chips next to him.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like bounty chips.
I guess so.
One of them, they're both bounty chips, the red and the green, I believe.
Right. Maybe the green ones are the ones that he keeps.
I think.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
very interesting. I would love to know more about the format. I think it's fascinating. I would love to see PKOs come to like live.
I honestly haven't played one yet, but it seems like so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I get brain scrambled. Again, it's like I don't know shit about PLO and I don't know shit about PKOs because I don't play either, but they do I find them to be fascinating formats, especially when you mix them together.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be one of those formats that it's going to be a lot of in live soon. Just like the milestone satellites. I feel like...
Yeah. Hopefully it catches on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play them, and I
can't wait.
No idea what I'm doing. But
can't wait for the $300.
Well, lucky for you,
PKO
there's a pads on poker course that you can watch. I'll give them a little free promo. I watched it.
You got some progressive bounty stuff?
A lot of PKO shit.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's only PKOs online now.
You love PKOs.
Well, do you?
I do.
But do you?
Yeah.
It takes so much money from you, though.
No, but if you're a redliner, you're good at PKOs.
Yeah, but
like
still, doesn't it still take money from you, though?
You win it. You're the one that wins it.
back.
Okay. I mean, I guess I could see that.
I love the sound of PKOs because I never win heads up.
You're gonna get your
so you
bounty
feel
back.
much better knowing that you both got the first place prize of 192 and forget about the PKO part?
Yeah. You both get 12K for finishing first or second, and I just lose my bounty.
Yeah, you might actually win that one.
Right. We saw Caitlin's debut of a love letter to scammers, but Jungle Man introduced a new content format yesterday. He didn't really do much to put it out on the mainstream, but now it has 100,000 views, and I got to tell you, it is really fucking good. I don't know who he had make this, but this is good. We're not going to watch the whole 3 minutes.
There's a lot of people in here that don't know the origin of
It's so good.
What did you guys have, and what did you guys
So he
bet
pulled
on?
the audio straight from Twitter
Me and
Spaces.
Dirt were very, very, very good friends. He's getting ready to play this challenge with Jungle Man, and everybody's betting. Yada, 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 yada.
Yada, 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 yada.
We had a side.
God, that looks so good. I have to go watch it now.
Yeah, it's like
great.
3.5 minutes long. It's really good. It's audio's pulled straight from Twitter Spaces, so it's not like manufactured, but the cartoon animations just make it seem so comical.
It makes you watchable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's very, very good. Big shout out to Jungle there. I think he did a great job on that one. There's hope. I found a little hope in the We Rate Dogs Twitter section yesterday. The oldest dog of all time passed away yesterday, which you would think would be sad, but wait till I spit out this age for you.
No way.
Bobby was 31 and a half years old. 31. Gatsby's going to live forever.
Yep.
31 and a half.
Gatsby's gonna live forever.
Jesus.
I need to know what.
I wonder if it's Bobby or Bobby.
I think it's Bobby, but I don't know. But like,
what about Booby?
She looks good.
Yeah,
she looks good for 31, bro.
I don't
she
know
has
what it
more
was.
intact teeth than my
I
dog.
saw that and I was like, is that a recent picture or not a recent picture?
Yeah, fair.
You know,
I guess.
I mean,
but
I thought the
seems like
exact same thing. I was like, wow, this dog looks good.
it seems probably recent.
It looks good, cuz.
Matt, that dog was doing cold plunges in the backyard.
Okay, now I can get on board with that.
You're gonna have to bring Gatsby in with you.
Yeah, he goes in on his own.
Absolutely. Yeah, after we walk, he just like lets himself in the pool.
He's like,
Totally
fuck this
He
shit. I'm going
sounds
right
like
in.
the dryer.
Well, we had to escape a pack of coyotes, man. Did you not hear the story?
Yeah, I heard the story.
He was gonna go down fighting for me.
Whether the coyotes or not, he still sounds like a dryer every time you come back in the house.
he
I'll be
does.
quite honest with you, man. When I first met Gatsby, he was all about fucking with people. You know, he's about to fight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's not protecting you against no damn coyotes today, all right?
He's got me. He's got me.
You better bring Newt along to talk to his family.
Newt was with me.
Newt will talk to his family.
Newt was with me. All right, let's end on the famous Mattress Mack story. This happens every year, especially since the Astros have been good. He always does this campaign where he bets, I don't know, some amount on the Astros to win the World Series. It says
He bet
loses
$50 million this year.
Okay, so he bet $50 million. Who knows what that was to win? Obviously, he's getting a price because he bets on them to win.
It was to win $50 million. I'm sorry.
It says he loses out on $50 million. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
So he bets like some amount, $10 million, something like that, on the Astros to win the World Series. He does it for college football too. I think he had a bet on
Houston.
No, not in college.
Yeah.
No, not to win the national championship. They're not that good.
They were good last year.
Yeah, they were
really good last year.
They were in the playoff?
And he bet Houston.
Okay, yeah, I knew he bet a Texas team, but I didn't think it was them. I thought maybe it was like the Longhorns or something. Anyway, anytime a Texas team is in a position to be a championship team, he puts a long odds bet on them. And the way that he breaks even with this is he makes an agreement where if you come and buy a mattress during a certain time frame, it's free should that sports team go on to win the championship. So let's say he put $10 million on the Astros. Basically, so long as he does $10 million in inventory, he breaks even on the bet. And he does this every year in order to drive business. It's pretty fucking genius. The guy seems to be a fucking gazillionaire. So it must be working. I wonder if there's a way we could do this for S4Y. Is there a way that we could bet on the Steelers to win the Super Bowl?
You bet on the Steelers against Conrad to slap
Can you do me a favor and play that music? The one that gets us out of here?
Sure, no problem.
He is playing it. If you had your headphones on, you'd fucking hear it.
All right, well, turn off the show.
Idiot.
That would be great, right? Yeah, just come to the academy and, you know, if the Steelers win the Super Bowl,
We'll refund you.
We'll refund you.
Yeah.
We got to put a huge bet
I
in
like
for
this
it, though.
idea. We're going to look
Smart.
into it.
Speaking of.
Oh, it's TCU. That too.
Yeah.
What was TCU?
Houston. Idiot.
Look at that.
Houston for college ball.
We do have another academy coming up January 15th to the 17th. The signups are now live for that. We're going to be announcing future dates as well. I think we're going to have dates in March as well as May, which will include the MTT Academy. Got to run it by Hunt, make sure he's going to be available for that. But if you guys are interested in attending a 3-day academy, head over to academy.survivorship.io and be sure to sign up ASAP. Seats will go fast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're sorry that we didn't get to the Am I the Asshole segment. We're going to switch up the title and thumbnail for this one for sure. But we appreciate Joe for the submission for the Muck. It spurned on a very important discussion, I think. That's going to do it for us. We're probably going to be back sometime around noon again tomorrow. Be sure to tune in. No Strat Chat tomorrow. Matt is out of town, so we're going to try to move it to Friday. If not, just skip it all together this week. But we'll have another In the Muck segment for you, as well as some other fun stuff planned. Perhaps we'll get to the Am I the Asshole segment. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys then.
Later, squad.
Peace.